Hello YouTube, welcome to Shad Life. Can I be completely honest with you? I am so frustrated with the weather this spring. It is like so beyond annoying. I don't know. It's just frustrating because it's just like this long drawn out spring. So what's happened is we finally got rid of all the snow, but then it went, we had like a few days of really nice weather, like literally mid 70s, even got into the 80s for like 3 or 4 days, and then it went back to rainy and cold. We even got a little bit of snow, but not enough to stay on the ground. And then we've had all this rain, but then it stopped raining. And today I was like, I want to get out and ride this Grand Canyon 5 and do a video and all this stuff. And it's like 34 degrees and cloudy and just miserable outside. It's like damp and it's really hard to get motivated to get out there and do it. So that's my rant. Now that I'm over with that, I'm just going to do an update video for you today, and I am going to get out there tomorrow. It'll at least get into 40 degrees, and I'll just dress warm, and I'm going to ride the Grand Canyon at the XL Energy bike park. And my plan is to review that bike and talk about it, but I just don't want to be miserable while I'm doing it, right? Because I have to stop, and set up the camera and film and all that stuff. And if it's cold and damp, it just is not fun. So that's my plan. Tomorrow I'll do that. I'll just dress for it, knowing that I'm going to have to stop. If I'm out and just riding and I'm really working up a sweat and putting in the effort, I can ride in colder temps. But when I'm filming and trying to do a YouTube video, it's much more challenging. If you haven't seen my video about how I do the 360 editing, I know that's the kind of video that not everybody's interested in, but if you are curious how I do it, I did repost a video that was from my other channel that I'm still negotiating or trying to figure out why YouTube took it down and if they're ever going to put it back up. So I don't know why they took that channel down. I'm really baffled at that. Okay, so this video is going to be a little bit longer. And so what I'm going to do is cut in the timeline of each subject that I'm going to talk about. Cool. So let's talk about what's coming up. You'll notice I have my Fargo in the stand here. I've got this bike pretty dialed. I actually moved the rear wheel forward. It was almost all the way back, but I want the bike to have a little bit more spunky handling, so I moved the wheel all the way forward as far as I can go, things like that. And I'm thinking that I'm going to do this bike for the Miesville 56. The Miesville 56 is a 56-mile gravel ride. Last year, I did it on the state 4130 all-road, and that was when that bike was fairly new and still had like the state branded components and stuff on it. I've since upgraded that bike to have, I think it's Rival and all that stuff on there. But I'm thinking I'll ride this bike. This is my most comfortable bike. It's not my fastest, and it's got the bigger tires, 2.2 tires. The state all-road has 38 C tires, which are 700 by 38s, which is like how you size road bike tires, but quite a bit skinnier than these. And then once you get to, I want to say, generally when you're sizing tires, once you get to around 1.9 or 2.0, they kind of switch to this inch measurement. I don't know why, but your width is then measured in inches. So 2.2s on there. What I know with gravel is the wider the tire, the more stable you are on the gravel. And I like that stability. I like being more planted. When I'm on a skinnier tire, I feel like the bike wants to swim around on the gravel and kind of track with the gravel. And it's a little disconcerting or uncomfortable. It makes me a little nervous, especially on the downhills and stuff. So I don't know. but I'm not 100% sure I'm going to take this bike or not. So, but that's probably what I'm going to do. So the Miesville 56 is next weekend on Sunday, the 30th. And, you know, it's a pretty brutal event. It's almost always really windy, which is why a drop bar bike is nice to have because you can get down in the drops and things like that. But yeah, that's coming up, and I'm likely going to do this bike, and I do plan on filming this one. I have my Hero 11 Mini now, and I'll put it on my helmet, and I'm not going to film the entire race because there's not enough battery in the camera to even do that, or memory in the memory card. So what I do is I'll film like the start, and then throughout the event, I'll turn the camera on and talk about where I'm at, how I'm feeling, this and that throughout the event. And not everybody's interested in those kind of videos, but for those of you that are, I'll do a video on that. Cool, let's talk about the next thing, because the really exciting thing is coming after that. Okay, so after Miesville 56, we get into May, and the following week, I leave, the following weekend, I leave for Fruita, Colorado. If you don't know, there's an event every year called the Fruita Fat Tire Festival, and I thought last year was supposed to be the final year of the event. I've gone there before. I used to go there all the time in the late 2000s, and then I stopped going. Other things in life I got into. I was married for a while in there. Long story. Anyway, so I'm going back because I noticed they still have it going on, which I thought it was done. And I'm going to go a week early. So when I went before, I used to go a week early, ride all the trails in the area for 5 days or so, and then join in the festival and have fun at the festival. The difference this time is I'm sober now. So it'll be interesting to see if I like the festival as much being sober, because back then I used to drink. I knew it was New Belgium Brewing used to be the big sponsor, Fat Tire, you know, that stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it, and Fruita has a lot of just really cool trails, and it's a style of trail I don't really get to ride often living in Minnesota or even anywhere else. Like I've gone to Bentonville and a lot of places, even the North Shore, but that Fruita, Colorado area, and then Moab also, there's really unique, really cool riding, lots of rocks and things like that. So it's going to be fun. I'd say it's probably closer to what Sedona, Arizona is like, which also looks really cool. I've never been to Sedona, so I should go down there, see if I could hook up with Steve from Hardtail Party. That would be cool. I might actually plan that trip if I can pull it off. Yeah, so that is the next thing, Fruita Fat Tire Festival. I will be bringing my Rustler for sure. That has the Axis electronic shifting, still kind of getting the hang of that. I will do an update on my feelings about it, maybe while I'm in Fruita. And then I'm going to bring one other bike, and I'm going to guess that it'll be the Jaffe. One, I want to get out and ride that bike more and get on it. And two, it's a 29er, and the type of trails at Fruita are pretty epic, long distance rides. And I feel like a 29er like the Jaffe is like the perfect bike for Fruita. I say that having not really ridden it, but hopefully I'll get it out like to the XL bike park or some other trail, if some other trails start opening up before I go to Fruita, and then I can make a final decision on whether that's the bike. But for sure the Rustler's gonna go. That's just a given. I mean, there's so many trails that this Rustler is absolutely gonna just shred on in Fruita and Grand Junction. So, yep. So it'll probably be those two bikes. The Thai Hayduke could also be an option, but I mean, I have the Jaffe. It's new. I'm excited to ride it, so I'll probably take the Jaffe. Okay, I'm going to insert this in here. It looks like my wolf tooth delivery came. Notice my fingers are covering up my address. Yeah, I'm gonna unbox this stuff, or unbag it in this case. This came while I was making this very video, so I decided I was gonna add this in to the other stuff. Okay, here you go. What is this stuff? Well, this is a 16 tooth rear cog for my mullet build. Why did I get this? Well, the 17 tooth is really good for riding single track and stuff like that. And this is going to be much better for riding like the pump track, doing urban riding if I do any urban assault on it. And more importantly, and the main reason I ordered this, is USA BMX is going to allow mountain bikes on BMX tracks, but they're going to have a mountain bike class this summer. And I need a gear ratio. So with a 27.5 wheel and 32 tooth front cog, if I put this on, I'm at 55 gear inches, which is the ideal gear inches for BMX racing. So yeah, you'll probably see some of that, me racing in the mountain bike class at some of the BMX tracks this summer. Pretty exciting. On that Hayduke. This is just a cable for a dropper because I did order their new Remote Pro. They talked a big game about this, so this is actually going to be a review. Does this work better? Because I have other wolf tooth droppers. So we'll see if it's all what they say it is. And this is the coolest part. So this is a 1 degree angle headset. They call it GeoShift, as you can see. What this can do is it can allow me to set my head tube angle 1 degree steeper or 1 degree slacker. And I've been wanting to get one of these, so I ordered one so I can play around with, you know, maybe on the mullet build. Yeah, here it talks a little bit about it. I can make it slacker, or I can make it steeper, things like that. Super cool. I'm just curious, you know, I can literally change the head angle on my bike and see how it rides. So this is mainly going to be part of my experimental stuff that I'm doing this summer. So there you have it. Those are the parts I all got from Wolf Tooth today, which came while I was down in the basement filming the other stuff. Pretty stoked on this stuff. And I'll talk more about this USA BMX mountain bike class coming up. They're starting it in May. So cool. So I did get out and ride the Esker Hayduke mullet build. That was my winter build project. And I love that bike. And it's really going to bring me into this next topic. And this is where is what's going to make this video a little longer, because I really want to talk about this. I talk about the bike industry a lot and trends and the way the bike industry takes us certain directions and stuff. And I used to be in the bike industry. I ran a bike shop for 7 years. I worked for Quality Bicycle Products for 4 years, things like that. But I wasn't in product development, except for when I did work at Twin City BMX. I helped Haro and Schwinn and those guys with some of their product design, because they were trying to, you know, get their products up to a better quality level. I remember they came to Twin City BMX when I ran that shop and talked to me about things, and I told them what they need to do to step up to the plate and be, you know, I don't know if they were ever equivalent to standard bikes or S&M bikes or any of those brands, but they definitely improved their products so they were at least stronger and better for BMXers. But I have been involved with bikes for a very long time, and I've understood the process and progress both in BMX and mountain biking. So I personally feel like I have a vast amount of knowledge when it comes to bikes and what's important and what's not and so on and so forth. So that's why I'm going to talk about this next topic. The bike industry tends, as much, and the auto industry is this way too, as much as they want to say the consumer drives the trends, I don't believe that hype. With the auto industry, consumers don't drive pickup trucks being the most popular selling vehicles, or big SUVs being the most popular selling vehicles, or whatever. The auto industry markets, they do a lot of stuff to convince people that that's what they need. There's a whole bunch of marketing around it. And the reason the auto industry markets the bigger SUVs and pickup trucks, and you can agree with me or not, but this is the facts, is because those are high profit vehicles. They don't have as much technology in them. The unit body frames of smaller cars and the higher fuel mileage engines and all that of smaller cars, there's a lot more money in research and development, and the auto industry doesn't make as high profit margins on those vehicles. But a pickup truck, which is a body on frame, which is how pickup trucks have been pretty much since the day they were ever made in the early 1900s, and they have big V8 motors in them, things like that. They're not very high tech, and they sell them for a ridiculous amount of money. So that's the auto industry. The bike industry isn't much different. They market to you, they try to convince you that you need certain things that you don't really need. So that's just pretty much it. They do it because it makes them money. It's a profitable way to go, or things like that. One of the reasons, and you've probably noticed this, that I really like Esker and kind of that, what they're doing, is because when I ride the Hayduke, it was interesting. When I got that bike, I got it up at Red Raven in Cuyuna and first rode it, I was just like, this is it. This is like the ideal platform that I have been waiting for a very long time. And I'll explain to you why that is. Okay, so this is my Thai Hayduke. I originally rode the yellow one, and then last year when the titanium one came out, I bought this frame, moved all the parts to here, which left that available for me to do this custom build. But that's beside the point. What makes this bike so awesome? What makes it awesome is it's neutral. That's really important. It's got a geometry that is in between everything. And the reason I say that is because it allows me to do anything, really. I mean, there's one exception that I'll put out there, and that is big, gnarly, downhill stuff, or something like Dark Fest, right? Well, Dark Fest is basically motocross without motors, right? Those guys are bombing downhill doing like 120-foot gaps. What was that record? Was it Tom Ice did it? 120-foot backflip or whatever. That's a different thing. But for the large majority of mountain biking, this is such an ideal platform, and it's got like the most neutral geometry. For so many years, mountain bikes had short frames and longer stems, and when you stood up and got into attack position, your weight was over the front wheel. You were not centered well between the wheels and on the bike. You were over the front wheel, and that made the bike sketchy to going downhill. And they had super steep head angles. They had 71, 72 degree head angles and stuff, right? So we've gotten to this point in mountain biking where the front end is longer, the stems are shorter, and we're slacker, but we're not like extreme slack. We're right in that 65, 66. I think 66, 67 is kind of the sweet spot. And you just have a well-balanced bike. The rear end is short. The head tube is well-balanced. Bottom bracket height's good. So I feel like we've gotten to that point in mountain biking where we're at the ideal geometry. And then it doesn't mean that this particular bike is like the absolute pinnacle or ideal of it, but it's extremely close. So from here, it should just be subtle tweaks, a degree or two of the head angle, a slight seat angle change, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit shorter rear, like very subtle tweaks, but this should be kind of like where we need to be at with mountain biking moving forward. It's evolved to a point where we've found the ideal geometry. Keep in mind physics, keep in mind science, keep in mind all these things that make things the way they are. And once you've found that kind of ideal formula, you don't need to keep changing it. You don't need to keep trying to evolve it to something else. The bike industry loves to do this because they want to come out with the next new thing. So what are they going to do? Tell us that a 59-degree head angle is the best thing for everybody? No, like this is such a well-balanced geometry, and that's why I fell in love with the Hayduke when I got it. And then we've got different frame sizes, different wheel sizes, which is fine. The bike industry appears to be trying to do away with 27.5, which I don't like. I actually think 27.5 for somebody of my size is pretty much the ideal size. I'll be getting on the Jaffe, which is a 29er. You'll definitely hear my opinions of 29er, but I'll be able to directly compare 27.5 to 29 and tell you the differences and stuff. And what I know so far is 27.5 gives the feel, the agility, all of that stuff of the bike that I like. All those things I like. When you get to 29er, you know, the wheels are bigger. They're going to want to try to keep the bike up in a straighter line. Sure, they roll over stuff better, but you want to be able to maneuver the bike around and have more control over the bike. You don't want the wheels taking over. And I feel like 29ers take over a little too much. For somebody that's lower skill level, maybe they want bigger wheels so they can just roll over stuff and not have to put much effort into it. But you got somebody like me who, as you know, I pop up the front wheel, I get out of the saddle, I do the row, anti-row thing to go over rock piles, things like that. Like, I like to move the bike and not be just a passenger on the bike. I like to be the pilot of the bike. There's a big difference between being a passenger and being a pilot. So I really hope the bike industry realizes that they've found the formula. This is it. And it's only subtle tweaks from here. And that they don't keep trying to do extreme changes. And I really hope they don't get away from 27.5. And I hope they keep plus size around. There's some very valid and nice things about having plus size tires. Sure, they're not the fastest formula, but man, do they give you traction? Do they give you the ability to just go long distance and have a little bit more cushion and comfort and all that stuff? You know, there's just some things that many of us consumers love. I would put a beginner or a newer rider on a plus size tire, a 2.8 or 3.0 all day long, because then they get that advantage of the traction. And for them, it's not all about speed. It's about control, right? So there you have it. I'm going to be doing a bunch of experimental stuff, mostly with the yellow Hayduke, but I'll probably do some with this bike, probably with the Jaffe, and I actually want to do mullet on my Rustler, which I can do because I have 140 millimeter travel fork to do that with that can fit a 29-inch wheel. So I will be talking quite a bit about this summer. This is going to be that season. That's why I was frustrated in the early, because I want to get this going, right? And just really talk about this. And I'm going to talk about geometry and bike design and where we're at today in mountain biking a lot. Whew, I knew this video was going to get long. Couple more things that I'm going to cap off right here. You see this guy hanging behind me. Again, because of the weather, they literally sent a picture from Cuyuna yesterday, I believe it was, and it had snowed and there's snow everywhere. So I haven't even gone up there yet. But once I get up there, I will get my Haro Steel Reserve and I'll have all the parts then to build this guy, because I'm going to switch all my parts from that bike over to this bike. I'm really stoked about this 26-inch DJ bike with this Identity Rebate XL fork. That's going to be a sweet bike. It'll be great on the pump track, that's for sure. And yeah, I get up there, hopefully start riding my airbag soon. I need to build some kind of ride-in platform so I don't have to pedal my brains off so much just to hit the thing, and so on and so forth. So there you have it. Yeah, plenty coming up. BMX for sure. I'm gonna get out on my BMX bike, hit the skate park and things like that, or the skate parks, pump track, stuff like that. So plenty to come. Just kind of waiting on, as I look out the window and just want to go, just waiting for the season to get started. It's coming. Looks like good weather coming in the next week. I appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.